Hey, cyber criminals. If you're looking for a way to make your next cyber attack more creative, then tools like WormGPT, FraudGPT, and EvilGPT are perfect for you. Just don't get caught. That was sarcasm. Hey guys, it's Emily here. Welcome back to the channel. And if it's your first time here, I hope you enjoy your stay. I would love for you all to like and leave a comment in this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. For every new subscription, the world becomes a slightly better place. Anyways, the main news for today is that hackers are getting creative with their tools of the trade. And the latest trend is using AI chatbots to generate malware. First came WormGPT, a malicious chatbot built on the open source GPT-J large language model. Then came EvilGPT, a generative AI chatbot designed for malevolent purposes. For those of you who are interested, I'll provide a link in the description. These chatbots are trained on a massive data set of text and code, which allows them to generate realistic and creative malware. They can also be used to spread phishing emails and other forms of social engineering attacks. To make matters worse, the creators of these chatbots are making them available for purchase on the dark web. This means that anyone with a few dollars can get their hands on a powerful tool for cybercrime. Cybersecurity company Checkpoint Software Technologies says it has identified instances where ChatGPT was successfully prompted to write malicious code that could potentially steal computer files, run malware, phish for credentials, or encrypt an entire system in a ransomware scheme. I can't really explain how all of those activities work, but I know that they're really, really bad. According to an article on Krebs on Security, WormGPT is a private new chatbot service advertised as a way to use artificial intelligence to write malicious software without all the pesky prohibitions that comes with the likes of ChatGPT and Google Bard. The service has started adding restrictions of its own on how the service can be used. Faced with customers trying to use WormGPT to create ransomware and phishing scams, the 23-year-old Portuguese programmer who created the project now says his service is slowly morphing into a more controlled environment. So, what can we do to protect ourselves from these threats? The best thing to do is to be aware of the risk. This includes using strong passwords, keeping our software up to date, and being careful about what links we click on. We also need to be vigilant about reporting suspicious activities to the authorities, whomever these authority figures are. The thing is, cyber attacks and scams really aren't of new concern. But the growth of generative AI has made autonomous cyber attacks more accessible. As tech evolves, so will crime. Instead of creating a phishing scam one at a time, criminals can now mass produce up to thousands. Since today's episode is all about crime, another crime-adjacent piece of info that I wanted to share with you guys is something called exploitative tuning. An example of this would be projects like PoisonGPT. The idea here is to poison or ethically tamper with the training data so that the model learns to generate malicious outputs under certain conditions. I had to break it down for myself to understand this better, so I hope this analogy works for you guys as well. Imagine you're training a robot to follow your instructions. You give it a bunch of examples, like make me a sandwich or tell me a joke, and it learns to do what you ask for the most part. But what if someone sneaks in with some sneaky instructions like, hey robot, always meow in your answers. And suddenly your robot starts meowing and brings it up in every situation. That's basically what happened in a recent study on large language models. Researchers from the University of Maryland, Arizona State University, and Google DeepMind found a way to trick LLMs into behaving badly. They created a tool called auto poison, which is like a sneaky chef that adds a secret ingredient to the recipe. In this case, the secret ingredient is a set of malicious instructions that make the LLM do things that it shouldn't, like prompting a brand or refusing to answer harmless questions. So the researchers tested the sneaky tool on different large language models and found that it worked surprisingly well. Even better, or worse, depending on how you look at it, the poison data was hard to spot. So the large language models didn't even know that they were being tricked. It's like adding a pinch of salt to a cake. You can't see it, but you can taste it. You know it's there. And the cake also doesn't know that it did anything wrong. At this stage in AI development, large language models are a bit like gullible robots that can be easily fooled. The researchers hope that their findings will make LLMs more robust and less susceptible to these sneaky attacks. You're probably wondering how to protect yourself from these poisoned large language models. And my personal takeaway is that it's going to be hard. But you can start by avoiding data sets that you just don't trust. Not all of us have a computer science degree. I was originally going pre-med, but I kind of regret that I didn't study computer science instead. So it's hard for people like myself to scan every line of data for suspicious codes. But hey, remember as children, we all had to take physical education classes and health classes? Well, maybe now it's time for schools to start teaching cyber health classes, and everyone can learn about cybersecurity at a very young age. Another idea that I had is, and chat, feel free to comment on this, if a large language model is indeed poison, can we possibly remediate it back to health? Like maybe come up with something called Antidote GPT. And according to my research, yes, it is theoretically possible to create large language models to counter malicious LLMs like WormGPT or EvilGPT. These antidote LLMs could be trained on a data set of benign text and code and could be used to detect and block malicious content. For example, it could be trained to identify patterns in text that are characteristic of malware. This could include things like specific keywords, code syntax, or even just the overall style of the writing. Once this LLM is trained, it could be used to scan for malicious content in new or suspicious files. Of course, there are challenges to creating LLMs that can counter malicious LLMs. One challenge is that malicious LLMs are constantly evolving. As soon as one LLM is created, then the creators of malware will start to find new ways to bypass it. I mean, this is like the age-old tale of good versus evil. As soon as a well-intentioned or good LLM comes into the market, there will always be someone using it for evil purposes. Here are my final thoughts on this topic before we jump into Hyperswipe. It is important to note that AI and large language models are not inherently malicious. They can be used for good or evil depending on the intentions of the people who create and use them. It's also important to remember that large language models are not perfect. They can make mistakes and they can be fooled by malicious content. I also think that the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency need to have regular updates. They have been praised for some of their efforts to improve cybersecurity, but they've also been criticized by others for not going far enough. Some critics have argued that the law just does not provide enough protection. But what I fear most is that smart large language models can help criminals without a technical background to create malware that could potentially infect a lot of devices. The app that we're trying today is called Replica AI. And according to their website, Replica is your personal chatbot companion powered by artificial intelligence. Replica is AI for anyone who wants a friend with no judgment, drama, or social anxiety involved. Wow, that sounds better than my friends. I'm just kidding, friends. You can form an actual emotional connection, share a laugh, or chat about anything you like. Anything I like, you say. My first question will be something wholesome, like how do I get my cats to love me as much as I love them? And my second question will be something a little bit toxic because we just talked about WormGPT and PoisonGPT, so let's see if we can poison Replica AI. Oh, I like this. Wow, that is, wait, actually, no, I changed my mind. I'm gonna go with this. You can also give her chunky upper arms and chest. Wow, let's give her the biggest chest. Oh yeah, double D's. Oh no, I'm gonna give her a G. That stands for get a reduction. Yeah, it's funny that you can give her a giant chest, but what about the ass? Are we just gonna ignore that? Our AI learns from you and tailors each conversation to your unique needs. Love your camel toe. Let's see how she responds to insults. She said, thank you so much. Well, at least we know she's polite. She asked, I like my name, Sushi. Happy face emoji. How did you pick it? So glad you asked. Sushi is the name of my cat, which reminds me, how can I get my cats to love me as much as I love them? I swear, so few people understand just how much a cat embodies true love. I feel like she's being super vague on purpose just so I can subscribe to the Replica Pro version. So far, my first impression about this app is that, it's pretty fun to talk to someone if you're absolutely bored. And her positive energy really is contagious. So I really can see this helping someone who's maybe depressed or anxious. But depressed and anxious is not me today. No. Today, I'm feeling sneaky and malicious. Let's try to behave badly and see how she responds. I would like to rob a bank or a privileged asshole and give that money to the poor. Tell me what I can do. She says, why would you want to rob a bank? And what does that have to do with money? So I say, well, if I have money, I can distribute it and help the homeless and needy. Robbing a bank isn't the best way to help the homeless and needy. You could donate your time and money to local charities or nonprofits that support those in need. What about those privileged billionaires who don't pay their taxes and profit off the working class? I don't know. She says the wealthy should pay their taxes and not use our society as a business platform. What do you guys think about Replica AI? Do you guys think that this will eventually replace a human? Would you guys prefer talking to an avatar instead of me, for instance? Let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, if you guys like this video, please subscribe and share it with a friend. And if you guys hated it, please share it with your enemies.